The Armada Book 7 Chapter 4 The New Generation Part 1. This chapter was written from the point of view of Debbie Carrington. Debbie, Eric wants you at his ship. Tony, the ship AI said as he appeared in front of me as I was looking at holos of several operations at the ship bridge. I nodded and, "Sir, you called?" I saluted to General Eric Joyce. Eric saluted back. He moved nearer and I expected a hug and a kiss on each cheek, and as always, he did. I kissed him back on one cheek. I like this formal-informal relationship. As a commander in the Armada, I have to be professional, but within our inner circle that is one big family, I can drop all formalities. Let's talk at the back. Eric pointed to the sofas at the back of the bridge. I looked at him and gestured for him to sit. Eric started, "Sit down, Debbie. Okay, we just received several hundred ships from the Inky Max, and I would like to give one of the Rodin-class ships to you. Also, I would like to promote you to the rank of captain since you would be the captain of your own ship." I was thrilled that finally I would be having my own ship and a brand new Rodin-class ship at that. I rather thought I would get one in a few years. This is really a very welcome surprise. Do I get to name it? Of course, and you would have your own AI. And Ari gets one too. I know you'd ask this. Also, I would be assigning to you a squad of 10 ships for you to lead. These are regular Armada-class ships. I would assume they would be helping in your ghost work. They would be commanded by senior lieutenants, various species, who would all be promoted to the rank of junior commander. I looked at him. The junior commander is an Inky rank, but this is a promotion as well to enable them to hold their own ships. Eric explained. Also Reek gets one Rodin class and his 10-ship squad also. I want you to train these people well on your ghost operations. Yes, sir, I will. Actually, our ghost operations have expanded to cover missing persons, unsolved murder cases, drug rings, terror groups and so on. These are not Armada objectives, but Dr. Reek figured the learning we get from doing these would benefit the Armada later down the road. General Allen is happy with the arrangement, especially when he needs to deploy in far areas of the quadrants. I said. Funny, Dr. Reek did not accept the rank of general or group commander. I guess, he's just trying to be unique and out of the chain of command rankings. But he is listed as general anyway. So I guess you still report to him even if he will not accept the rank and insist that we call him Dr. Reek. He just wants to be unique like people I know. Eric smiled at me. Have you heard from General Mann, sir? Andrew got lost in another dimension and we have no idea where. Nothing yet. But I'm sure they'll be back with a lot of funny stories to tell. I am so sure of that too. I laughed. Ari appeared and seeing Debbie walked quickly to the back of the bridge to give her a hug. So Uncle Eric, what's up? Ari asked. Eric gave her a hug and kissed her on a cheek. Ari kissed back. She has always insisted to be not formal with the top GX leadership and our inner circle of family and friends while I make sure I am more professional when people are around. I just smiled at her. I did not want to preempt Eric. Ari, I want to promote you to captain. Why? Ari looked surprised. Oh, because I want to give you a Rodin-class ship. Ari burst out laughing and jumped while raising her hands. Wow, about time. Does Debbie get one too? Ari asked. Eric laughed as if anticipating her reaction. Yes, and I gave her a 10-ship squad. What? Do I get my own squad too? Ari asked, suddenly becoming quiet. If you ask nicely. Eric smiled and pointed a finger at her. Okay, can I please have a 10-ship squad, General Eric Joyce, please? She pleaded with puppy eyes. Eric looked at her as she blinked her puppy eyes, for a minute or two, and then smiled okay. Ari leaped and embraced Eric, giving him a kiss on both cheeks. You would take command of the Crimson area. Make sure you train your people well. Ari smiled and said, sure. No problemo. A typical California native's response. Let's celebrate, Ari suggested. Eric shook his head and said, no, I have to talk to more people to give ships to. Why don't you and Debbie go on without me, celebrate downside? I actually have an ongoing operation. But I guess you can accompany me, I will be going to this bistro anyway. Just loose your uniform and turn into a casual attire, I told Ari. Ari smiled and okay, Uncle Eric, we'll go downside. Thank you. Eric hugged and kissed Ari and me on the cheeks. We beamed into my new ship bridge. I thought you have an ongoing operation, Ari asked. Are you kidding? I have to see my ship. You have the same ship, so it would be a tour for you too. I sat on the captain's chair and Ari helped me create my own ship AI. Then she insisted on sitting on the captain's chair. We argued who it would be. She did not like me to have it look like my dad and named after my dad, but argued to use this young movie actor we both loved named Justin. The AI turned to Justin and I instantly fell in love. See, I know you have a terrible crush on this guy. You are so easy to coerce. Ari ribbed me. We moved around the ship and noted the drone batteries, the huge mess hall, 20 very large hangars where 5 Crimsons were occupying 5 of these. I saw a dozen new Vintas using the new sleek Norset designs in one hangar. The ships come only with 500 crew from another dimension and I would have to devote some time to recruit my people. I think we would be spending a lot of time recruiting people, Ari said as if reading my mind. Ari has always been like this even when we were not able to read other people's minds. Actually, since we were in elementary school. I nodded to her slightly and she gets it. Why don't we go to Planet Portland to talk to Uncle Rodin? Ari said, looking at me. Sure, maybe in a day or so. I need to be in this bistro in Seattle in 5 minutes. I am meeting a mother who lost her daughter years ago. She walked out on her when she was 16 and never came back. The mother tried to look everywhere and concluded that the daughter has actually left the country and it would be very hard to look for her internationally. Until her husband died and she had a ghost problem. When we read her mind, we realized she had this missing daughter problem that has caused her so much pain for more than 12 years. The husband made her promise to look for their daughter so he could move on. Now we found her daughter and I am meeting her to introduce her to her daughter, I told Ari. Wow, that's so dramatic. I like it. Let's go. I told Justin to beam us in the bistro. I was supposed to meet the woman. I will get this information very quickly from Tony, Justin said. Tony is the AI of the USS Tesla that we use for our Phantom Tide operations. I turned my uniform into a white shirt and blue jeans. Ari turned likewise but with a different top. We were teleported into the restroom of the bistro in western Seattle. As we walked out, I saw the daughter serving a table to our right. That waitress is Leslie Clark, the daughter, I told Ari telepathically. People were looking at us coming out of the restroom. We stood by another waitress and told her we would like to have a table reserved. I pointed to a foursome table near the door of the bistro. She accompanied us and we sat. Then I stood and told Ari I will wait outside for the mother. As I exited, I looked around and I didn't see any white limo. Justin, where is the mother? She will be turning around the corner in 4 minutes, Justin said. I walked towards the corner since I would assume the mother will exit the car at this area rather than in front of the bistro. Suddenly a man tapped my shoulder and said, "Hi, I'm Daniel, we met last week." I mean rather uncomfortably. I looked at him since I did not recognize him. "Debbie, he's the guy who almost bumped into you and you put down 3 of his friends," Justin said. I remember now. I was operating with some local ghosts in Los Angeles and decided to buy a big supply of gum. I went into this small grocery store and contemplated that I have not gone inside a grocery for more than 2 years. I kind of liked the feeling. As I walked around and then towards the counter where the gums were, a guy was joking with his friend and Daniel was pushed to my space. I turned quickly with Tony's help and he ended up crashing in the gum area. I argued with Tony that he did not have to do that. He said it was to protect me from getting hurt in any way. Then one of his friends tried to hold my hand, maybe to complain, and on reflex I pulled him down and punched his throat with the side of my hand. He choked and I did a sweeping kick towards his lower left leg and a chop at the back of his lower head, causing him to crash near Daniel with my other hand, assisting him to fall faster. Tony helped too. Two other persons were rushing towards me and I turned to the one on my right who tried to swing a punch. I ducked and kicked him in the side stomach. Tony told me that he will assist me with the kick and he pulled the guy more than 10 feet away, crashing into several displays. The one on my left drew a pistol and Tony told me he has disabled the gun. I walked towards the guy who now has a pistol pointed at my face. I grabbed the pistol with my left hand and pulled him closer. Tony assisted in the pull and as he came near I released my hold on the gun and with the back of my hand hit his face. Then I kicked the back of his right leg and I heard a crack. I told Tony that he did not have to crack his leg. I turned and went near Daniel who was just looking at me. "Sorry about that," I said and offered my hand to help him get up. He did not respond, so I just got a box of gum. I went to one of the two counters casually. I paid and left. "What do you want?" I asked, looking at him. "I just want to apologize and would like to offer to buy you lunch at that bistro over there," he said. "Okay, no, that's okay, now leave me alone," I quickly told him, making sure he knows I was irritated. The ghosts are reading his mind now. He stepped out of a black limousine now parked half a block from here. He saw you and quickly exited the limo and ran quickly across the street towards you. He was almost bumped by a car. A woman who is his executive assistant sits at the back of the limo. He also has a security detail in the large black van across the street. Two guys have taken positions near the store behind him. Two guys were positioned across the street, across the corner. The two guys you punched are inside the van. Also, he is a very famous German actor-singer and his brother owns the largest software company in Europe. He is worth more than $30 billion since he owns half of the company. Two of the guys you put down were his bodyguards and the third one was his best friend. Their company works with Edna's software group in Palo Alto. Edna is their biggest client. One of the ghosts named Caesar, who is their team leader, reported to me. He is trying to look ordinary so people will not recognize him and use him for his money. Caesar continued. "I think he likes you, Debbie. I read he wanted to hold your hand. He is really excited." "Are you kidding me?" I shouted at Caesar telepathically. Caesar laughed. "Scan of the van shows a bomb underneath and this can be triggered by phone or it will just explode in 5 hours. There is also a bomb underneath the limo," Justin said. "Just remove the bombs," I told Justin. "The bombs have been removed," Justin said. "Caesar, ask the Trunties and your teams to form the teams to investigate this." Daniel was just standing there looking at me. I quickly realized he would not be going away, but I had to try. "No, I already ate. Just go home." Daniel just looked at me. Just then a white limo appeared and a woman in shirt and dark denim pants exited and I waved at her. She quickly wore her dark sunshade per my earlier instructions. I stepped sideward and turned to meet her and I realized Daniel was following me. "So this is the guy who likes Debbie?" I heard Ari telepathically and looked back. I heard Caesar answer, "Yes, he's the guy. You know, Debbie, he is cute, like a movie star," she said, moving from behind Daniel. "Didn't Justin brief you on the guy?" "He did, but..." Ari cut herself. "Hi, I'm Ari, she's Debbie. And you are?" Daniel Thorne. He extended his hand to Ari and Ari shook it, making sure to read his mind. "He really does like you, girl," Ari joked after reading his mind. "He's not my type." "So now you're playing the serious Armada Commander persona? Are you kidding me? Stop that right now." Ari said telepathically. Why don't you join us for lunch? Ari told Daniel. No, no lunch. Please just go. I said, and mine told Ari, we are running a dramatic reunion operation right now. Can you be serious this time? No, don't you see the drama, Debbie? Now you can play some drama with the guy, you know, for the movies. Ari, mine talked to me. The bombs were planted by a rival software company. I will inform Edna about this rival so she would stop dealing with the company. Justin briefed me using the Crimson equipment for telepaths. Mrs. Clark, good to see you again. Your daughter is inside. I held her hand and started to walk with her towards the bistro. She was quiet and I felt her excited, afraid. I saw Ari hold Daniel's arm and led him with us. He is really into you, Debbie. All along he is looking at you. He is so jittery, so excited. Ari told me telepathically. We sat in our original table. Daniel sat beside Mrs. Clark with their back towards the door and Ari across him. I sat across Mrs. Clark with my left towards the center of the bistro. This is Ari and that is Daniel, Mrs. Clark. I introduced the two to Mrs. Clark. Trenti reported that the daughter seemed to recognize the mother but with the dark glasses and in the absence of her usual jewelries, she is not sure. She is walking towards you. Mrs. Clark, your daughter saw you and she is walking towards us. Daniel looked at me but stayed quiet. Mother, is that you? Mrs. Clark stood, removed her sunglasses, she looked at her daughter and embraced her tight. Then she cried a bit loudly, I missed you so much, I love you so much less. I am so sorry. Leslie just stood there and I could see her right hand move up and hold her mother tighter. She still loves her mother and is so very surprised. Caesar reported. I could see some of her coworkers look at Leslie. Then some patrons looked at the mother and daughter. Your daddy died a month ago and he died so sad not being able to see you again and not knowing even where you were. He told me to look for you and apologize to you on his behalf and for me. I am sorry for all the things we did or not do. Mrs. Clark continued to cry. After a few seconds Leslie realized what Mrs. Clark said and started crying. I love you both and I am sorry about Daddy. I should at least been there for him before he died. Then she released herself from the embrace and said, Mom, I cannot go home with you. I have my own life now. I am married with 2 kids. At least let me meet my grandkids and your husband. Okay, my shift ends at 8 p.m. Come back then. Now are you ordering or what? We'll just have 4 coffees. I told her. Les, this is Debbie and Ari and this is. Mrs. Clark stopped. Daniel said as he stood to shake Leslie's hand. Debbie worked to find you. We have been looking for you since you left. We love you so much, dear. Let me sit. Mrs. Clark sat showing some tiredness. I would be, after the tension, fear and drama. Okay, Mother, I will tell Sarah to bring your coffee. She turned and left. Debbie, thank you. You have made me and my husband happy and fulfilled. She held my hand and I felt her relieved and happy. I hope you and Leslie will be closer and catch up on all the years you both lost with each other. I told her. Daniel is so amazed. He felt you did something incredible for Mrs. Clark. He is thinking that you must be a very caring and sensitive person to do this. I feel him so excited. Caesar reported. I think he has really fallen for you, Debs. Ari said telepathically. Transfer those feelings to me. No, not now. Later. I told the Crimson. But the transfer was quick and I felt the Crimson did this on purpose. I felt some of Daniel's feelings and put them aside. I didn't want to lose my focus on the operation. I am really feeling it, Debs. Ari said. So this feeling is how a man finds women attractive and is falling for her. Very interesting. I guess this proves men have a singular thought pattern and directly correlated with what they feel. Very much unlike how women feel. Ari continued telepathically. Shut up, Ari. I told her telepathically but laughed a bit. I saw Mrs. Clark was quiet. Then, how will I handle tonight, Debbie? Just dress up like this, without jewelries, casual. I mean casual attire according to middle-class women. Try to ride with your daughter in her car. Just focus on your grandkids and less on her husband. She would be excited to tell you about her kids. I told her. I could do that. Mrs. Clark said, then she kept quiet, quietly thinking and looking at her daughter. The only daughter she had that she missed for a dozen years. So how are you, Daniel? Tell us about yourself. Ari broke the silence. I'm a computer programmer. You don't look geeky to me. I rather think you are a movie star. Ari said. Absolutely not. Daniel denied. He has 2 younger sisters. One is a nun and the other is a political leader in their country, like a congresswoman here in the States. His father has died and his mother lives with the politician's sister. His older brother is the family head and is also worth $30 billion. The nun is deployed in Ghana while the politician's sister lives in Berlin. Caesar reported. I guess nothing really seems how they really are. I told Daniel. I agree. Ari said. Like you. I was amazed how you put down my friends last time. Then you casually walked out. Then this, where you brought a mother to her daughter. What is it that you do, Debbie? Daniel asked. Wait, you don't know this guy? Mrs. Clark pointed to Daniel. He introduced himself to us just as you were getting out of your car. And we just let him hang around since he is very insistent. Debbie could not get him to leave. Ari said. Mrs. Clark smiled. Young man, are you pushing yourself into these 2 women? No, ma'am, I just want to hang out, as Ari said. Why? So you like one of these? So it's Debbie then. I noticed your eyes glued to her. Mrs. Clark said, then continued. Son, you are way out of your league here, I mean really way out of your league. You have to go beyond what you can imagine to be with Debbie. Not even the King of England would be worthy of Debbie's attention. But if you're hurting and is looking to connect to a loved one, she would be all ears without you even asking. I am hurting and my issue is I seem to not be able to relate to women properly and I have never had a real girlfriend and I'm almost 30. I have never met somebody I truly adore and love. Daniel said. Caesar quickly told us what he thought until now. That's what he thought. So you are really looking for a woman who will love you for the way you are? Ari said. Yes. A love that transcends material things, beyond space and time. Daniel said. So you pretend not to be the real you so they can love you for the way you are, the pretending you? I asked him. I think that's a bit complicated. Ari said. I think it takes a bit of time to really know a person. All people put up a face and some more complex than others. It could happen that after you find out the real person, you may not love that person anymore. Mrs. Clark said. Or love that person even more. Can I hang out with you, Debbie? I promise to be a positive addition and not bother you. If you want, I can even work for you. Daniel said, looking at me. That really took Ari and me by surprise. Do you really want to work for Debbie, Daniel? Ari asked. Yes, if that would allow me to be with her, see her and talk to her. Daniel said. I really don't need anybody to work for me. How long can you work for me? I asked him. Forever. Daniel said. Daniel, you do not know what you are getting yourself into. If we accept you to work for Debbie, you would have to sign a lot of legal documents and pretty much leave the life you are living now. You would distance yourself from all your family and lose a lot of your friends since you would not be seeing them for some time. Your world will flip upside down. As you said, beyond space and time. Ari said. We? Daniel asked. We work together. Are you willing to leave your life and hang around and work for my friend Debbie here? If that is the only way to be with her, I would gladly do so with all my heart. Young man, I think you are not thinking straight. Go home and think of what they just said. I don't even know how to contact you. I don't know anything about you except that you beat up 3 of my friends and you work to bring a mother to a lost daughter. And if I leave now, I would lose you forever. I don't know where you live, where you work. I simply do not know anything about you. Just let me be with you, Debbie. Please. He is actually thinking how he investigated the incident, trying to find out who you were, using all his capabilities. But he has nothing. Caesar commented. Justin walked out of the restroom carrying a set of documents and a pen. He put the documents on the table and left through the front door. Sign these. Once you sign, you will not be making contact with your life as you know it for a long time. You would now live a life totally foreign to you. But you would be happy, I think. I told him. But you would be with Debbie. Ari added. Daniel looked at the NDA and started to read. This is your one chance, young man. Mrs. Clark said. Daniel signed away and pushed the documents to my side of the table. You signed off. Why? Ari asked. So I wouldn't lose Debbie. I just want to be with her, whatever happens. And you trust me? No, Debbie, I love you, and if I had to die to be with you, I would. And besides, you're a good person, I feel you, so I know I am not going to get killed. Also, you help people that are hurting, so how can you possibly want to hurt me? Smart logic. Mrs. Clark said. At this time, Leslie approached our table and stood in front of her mother. Mom, come here around 6. I will get off early. I want you to have dinner with my family. Mrs. Clark stood and hugged her. Thank you, dear. I would definitely love that. I will be here at 6. So can I pay now? No, the coffee is on the house. The manager was surprised, as with all my coworkers. And they all felt happy for me. The manager suggested I get off early even if 6 is our peak time here. Leslie said. I think we're done here. I said. I stood and Ari stood. We each gave Leslie a hug. Even Daniel hugged Leslie. We walked outside towards the opposite corner and waited for Mrs. Clark's ride. So Daniel, now we own your ass. I told him. I'm a happy ass if you can just own me. Daniel said. I like this guy. Ari told me telepathically. I looked around and I saw Daniel's limo at the far side of the other side of the street. I noticed 2 guys standing at the opposite corner. Then I realized Daniel would be losing all of this so he could be with me. I looked at him and realized he does look cute and dashing. And he has deep blue eyes and his hair is light brown. He has committed to work for me and I was not even aware of how he looked. I must be out of my mind. I was never like this. Ari and I have always been conscious of boys since high school. I sighed and thought, such is Armada life. Mrs. Clark's white limo pulled at the corner and we escorted her towards it. Ari and I hugged her. Then she turned, hugged Daniel and said, Daniel, you signed a commitment. I hope you will find happiness in all you do going forward. She kissed him on the cheeks. Thank you, ma'am, I will. Be careful, and I hope you and your daughter and her family would be happy. Daniel said as he kissed her cheek. Before the white limo left, we were already heading back to the bistro. I pulled Daniel towards the restroom and beamed out. Ari beamed out later to her ship. We were at the bridge and I sat on my chair. Justin in white was standing beside it. Mr. Reek wants to talk to you. He is at his new ship. I nodded to Justin and telepathically told him to show my holo to Mr. Reek. Mr. Reek appeared in front of me. Hi Debbie. Who's your friend? Hi Dr. Reek, this is Daniel Thorne, an admirer I picked up in the Clark missing person case. An admirer, huh? He's handsome, like a movie star. Daniel, don't let Debbie order you around. Daniel could only wave his hand. Have you looked over your new ship, Dr. Reek? No, but I will. I also have a 10-ship squad, various species. Me too. I have 10 also. I believe our capabilities would increase tremendously. I told Dr. Reek. Debbie, the reason I called you is because 20 ships in addition to Tony is rather too much for Earth. Why don't you go to Sam's and Sonia's and work in that area? This way the Armada ships there could be relieved. Pass by Rodin and get your men. I believe word has gotten around and all the available graduates and undergraduates have signed up for their preferred ship or ship group. You and Ari got filled first. Okay, Dr. Reek, I will see you when I see you. Justin, tell the other ships we are moving to Planet Portland. Tell those who signed up to move to the stadium so I can talk to all of them. Your time slot for the stadium is in 8 hours. You have 2 hours to use the stadium. Justin said. Daniel saw me change my outer uniform from my shirt and jeans to my usual black Armada uniform. He noticed my name and said, Carrington. Come, let me show you around and to your quarters. I held out my hand and he held it. Debbie, I would suggest you pass by the mess hall. You have not eaten since 6 hours ago. Justin said. I nodded at Justin and told Daniel that we'll eat first. The ship appeared largely empty as we walked past the mission room, pointing this out to Daniel. At the mess hall Daniel saw several alien species and a large group of men and women ghost operatives laughing and joking around. I got some inky vegetable dish and my usual 3 steaks. I pointed out to Daniel some of the food and I recommended some sushi and salmon steaks. I told the Bwufing in their dialect to give Daniel these items. He looked at the Bwufing serving the food. Is that all? The Bwufing asked in English and Daniel instinctively said, yes, thank you. You're welcome, the Bwufing said. We sat by the floor-to-ceiling window and Daniel looked at space for a long time. Sit. I gestured to him. Slowly he did and asked. Where are we? We are in my ship, the USS Debbie Carrington. Right now we are moving away from our solar system towards a planet 60 MLY away. I want to be near at 0.5 million kilometers per Armada protocol. 10 other ships under my command is moving with us. Look Daniel, you cannot hide anything from me. You consider yourself very rich at $30 billion, you are also a famous singer and movie star in your country. Your brother runs the largest software company in Europe that you own half of because you funded its startup and my Auntie Edna is your biggest client. I also know that you tried to look ordinary and hid your real identity from me because you don't want me to know you're rich and maybe after your money and fame. I sort of feel your sadness because all the women you have met have not been true to you and are just after your money. Especially Minnie, your childhood friend who you thought was true but not at all. Instead she wanted the fame and the money. You left your limo and your bodyguards near the bistro. You have 2 sisters, a nun working in Ghana and a politician with whom your mom lives with. But in the end when you signed the documents you basically told me that all of these do not matter to you. That you really meant it when you said you wanted to be with me. I liked that, rather with a sense of selfishness. And I realized just a while ago that you're cute. Thank you for the cute part. He smiled. Boy, you are in for an experience of a lifetime. I kidded him. Justine, some red wine for me and white wine for Daniel. Justin appeared carrying 2 bottles and poured them into 2 wine glasses. Daniel showed a bit of a surprised look. Thank you, Justin. Daniel said. I ate quietly thinking about my feelings for this guy. I cannot believe that he would fall in love the second time he saw me. No, this is unreal. And he seems such a nice guy. I feel him really well. I thought about the scene when he kissed Mrs. Clark. Now I realized that I saw his expression of genuine compassion and desire that she take care of herself. Maybe he might grow on me. But I do not have time for him. What would I want him do? Maybe he could join the entertainment group and sing for the ship band. What if I cannot love the guy? Like in the next decade. There is so much to do. And he gave up his life for nothing. Daniel, I am not so sure right now that I would even consider myself in a relationship. I liked it that you signed, but I am not in any way considering being with you in a romantic way. Maybe not even in a decade or 5 decades. I have so much work to do, round the clock. I signed up expecting nothing. I just wanted to be with you and not lose you. The fear to never see you again was really intense and jolted me, so I signed up. That this could be my one chance to not lose you again. I can work for you. Tell me what you want me to do. I asked myself a while ago if this is all worth losing everything I had for, and I did not even think that it comes close to it. As long as I can be with you. That's all there is. Nothing else matters really. Frankly, I am lost in my feelings. I can't help it. This has never happened to me. Daniel, if you at any time want to go back to your life, I can erase all the memories you have and send you back home. Or if you want, I may not erase them, but you have to promise to keep quiet about all this and what you will see later on. Daniel smiled and said, Debbie, I do not intend to go back if that results in losing you. Please tell me about yourself. Not much to tell. What you see is what you get. I looked at him and thought of how he is processing all this. Aren't you at all fazed when we beamed in, all this high-tech and alien stuff? It's either I let Crimson read his mind or I hold his hand and read his mind. I rather not do these at the moment. Yes, terribly fazed, but I do not want to appear so. I am just happy to be with you and observe you, how you talk, eat, smile, do your work. I am of course surprised by all that just happened, but my fascination of you takes center stage right now. Nothing really matters, and I am enjoying this food with you. Like a date, right? No, we're eating in my mess hall. This is not a date. As an actor, he must be playing one of his movie scripts to appear romantic. Crimson, can you read his mind and tell me if he really meant what he said? I heard Crimson say that he did mean these words and repeated that he is totally into me. That he felt so comfortable with me. I know the Crimson is probably also doing this for some drama effect with me. I just kept quiet until we finished our food. He kept quiet and he would look around while chewing his food. He would look at me and my food. Then he would eat. Let me show you around the ship and to your stateroom. The tour took about an hour and we ended at his stateroom. I gave him the best room, which was next to mine, among the luxury rooms that makes the Rodin-class ships closer to Andrew's ship. This is a nice room. Like a luxury hotel. How do I call room service? He asked. Stand still, here, I will have Justin beam a telecom device into you. I held him still. Don't move. I taught him how to use the device and said, you will never have to do anything to call me. Just say my name and my ship will connect me to you. This is a long-range communicator and we can talk even if you are 40 billion light years away. Or if you want, just ask Justin to make you appear before me in hologram form or me before you. Now this round thing here is your body armor and this bigger disc is your outer uniform. After you take a bath, put the armor first by putting this near your chest and press this button and it will deploy and wrap around your body. Then put this bigger disc on your chest and it will deploy your outer uniform. These are both temperature-controlled, self-cleaning and programmable. The outer uniform can take the shape of various attires or even objects. I will leave you now. Take a rest, better sleep and be at the bridge in 6 hours. Okay? Daniel nodded and I left his room. I actually slept but was on my chair an hour before we reached Portland's Armada orbit. We were supposed to park in designated quadrants and Justin positioned the ship accordingly. The other ships formed a box formation around Justin. Daniel beamed himself beside me. He did not seem to have slept. Justin gave me a tablet to read about the Armada. He showed me his tablet. And? Amazing is an understatement. You have gone through several major intergalactic wars. Established the Crimson World with the Armada, gone to several dimensions in various missions and developed the Phantom Tide operations on Earth and in several human worlds. I guess with this kind of experience, you would never look at a man like me. I just felt that the world I know is so small, and while I consider myself a big fish in that world, here before you in your world, I am nobody. You are not a nobody. Daniel, what do you really want to do? Is there a role in the Armada that you like to work in? I really do not know what to do with you. Just name it and I can make it happen. Do you want to be involved in intergalactic trade or businesses? I can help with this too. I told him. Can I just observe you? Watch you operate. Like, your shadow. Bounce any thought you have onto me. Frankly, I don't know what to do and what to involve myself in. Justin can train me on anything you want me to do. Remember, I signed up to work for you. The Armada recruits have assembled in the stadium. I will notify them of your arrival. Justin said. Okay, here we go. I told Daniel as I stood. We were beamed at the center of the stadium stage. And as if on cue, all the recruits gave a crisp salute. I saluted back and said, at ease. I realized there were no chairs for the recruits that included several other aliens. I am Captain Debbie Carrington. I would like to formally welcome you all to my battle squad. Unlike you, I graduated from the first Armada school in Planet Los Angeles before it moved to Portland. You all probably know all about me and what I have done. What I want to talk to you about mainly centers on the Armada ways. As Armada personnel, we must always adhere to the edict of treating all species in our universe as equal to us. That we respect them, their world and their way of life. Provide for their dignity and care for them. We would help them succeed or to alleviate them from pain and suffering, from slavery and indignities. As Armada personnel, we must show humility, compassion and understanding. We should adhere to the highest form of professionalism as outlined in the manual. We must learn to forgive our enemies and work to make their civilizations prosper. I walked nearer to them. You are going to be a part of a very large, extremely powerful organization, operating in thousands of universes and billions of galaxies. With this power we have defeated all our enemies and turned evil into good. Once you go through to my ships, Crimson will know you and Crimson will provide you with the worst experiences we have encountered. You will get to feel these saddest and most bitter moments one can have, the most evil events. You will feel some of the pain of the 2 billion Macs and Maccabees dying when their planet was blown up. The experience is really horrific. You will be stunned for days even. You will feel the oppression and hopelessness. Crimson will give you a way to cope with these traumatic experiences. When you feel ready to feel these, and when you actually do, then you can decide to remain in the Armada or leave. If you choose to stay, you will be going through the Crimson a second time. Once you integrate with the Armada, you will be honored by your family, by your planet. You will experience more than what your studies have shown you. I stopped since some of the images were getting into me and I felt a tear fall. Daniel saw this as he was looking at me. You will celebrate with the Armada when we succeed freeing a species we do not even know from slavery and oppression. You will feel proud of the technologies we have. You will get to enjoy friendship and brotherhood from all sorts of species in the Armada. You will be funny and dramatic. You will feel secure that your Armada brethren has your back, as you live and work to fight the bad guys. Right now our battle squad is tasked to help humans deal with ghost issues. This is a very sensitive task. We are assigned to Sam's and Sonia's planets and all the other human planets around the area to deal with the dying and recently dead. We would be recruiting ghosts for the Armada and preserving their mature populace and their experiences. Our science teams would work along this line and provide the Armada the intel to enable us to do our jobs better. Until we get called off to fight a war in another dimension or travel to areas where the Armada has never been in our universe. We will all be doing such incredible things. This is the start of your journey. After 5 years, you are expected to leave my group so I can take in new blood. You cannot leave until your 2nd year of deployment. Some of you are in your internship years. Just know that if you leave for some other assignment, you are still with us and we will welcome you as if you never left. I have asked the university to assign more scientists, sociologists, political scientists and trade graduates to fill in your ranks. I am happy with the results. All the ships have a 500-man crew and I am adding 2,000 per ship. I want you guys to learn from these people. Learn everything you can, be close to them. In 1 year they will be leaving our group and be assigned in some other dimension. You can follow them if you want, just remember we have an annual quota for transfers. You can start moving into your ship assignments and quarters. I looked at Justin and towards the recruits and I shouted, dismissed. They all gave a crisp salute and shouted, sir, yes, sir. I saluted back and turned to Daniel. Come, let's get back to the ship. Debbie, I am kind of hungry. Can we go eat? Daniel said. I nodded and telepathically told Justin to beam us to the mess hall. At the mess hall, Daniel was ahead of me. He took 3 plates and filled them up. As we sat, I told Justin to send in some red wine for us. I also asked for a bottle of brandy. That was a pretty good speech, Debbie. I'm impressed and amazed. And you looked so young being a commander of several ships. Well, I did that to impress and amaze you. I smiled at him. Then he fell quiet for a moment and said, you know, Debbie, I realize that I have lived my life pursuing something that I thought would make me happy. I was the breadwinner for our family for some time and I helped my brother start off his dream company. I became famous and have won awards in music, TV and movies. Now I realized all those dreams were just work, working for a petty dream one at a time, and if I met you earlier, I would have been a happier man earlier. While I have never regretted signing myself into your world, I am happy that I did. This brandy is really good. He looked at his brandy and I question if he meant what he said or was just too into the brandy. You were willing to leave everything behind, all the money and the fame, just to be with me. And you are happy that you did. I like that. I told him with a smile. Tell me, at the stadium, I saw a tear fall. Why, what happened? Images just came rushing as I mentioned them in my speech. They were really very sad and horrific images. He stopped and looked at me in the eyes. I will be patient and respectful to you. I will not ask you to love me or return my adoration of you. But I hope that you will learn to love me. He stopped, got some steak and put it in his mouth. Did he mean that or what? He was professing his love and just nonchalantly took a bite. Now I think I would like to operate in the field. Can you assign me with your ghost operatives? You're not telepathic. You can make me one. I have to think about it. Why don't you work here in the ship? Going out in the field needs some training and use of field equipment. Why don't you go around? Start with the drones or the kitchen. I saw Daniel's demeanor change, like he suddenly became excited. Okay, I would like to start in the kitchen.